Hey bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and welcome back to my channel. Today is the start of another reading vlog. So today is Saturday the 14th. I ended my last vlog on Tuesday, and honestly I haven't done a whole lot of reading since then. The sequel game to Ori and the Blind Forest, which is called Ori and the Will of the Wisps, came out on Tuesday. I had taken Wednesday off of work so that my husband and I could just play Ori all day, which was so much fun. And since then, I have been really trying to juggle playing my new game with reading and with doing booktube stuff, and it's kind of been a lot. The book that I've made the most progress on is The Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chokshi. I am a little less than halfway through. Oh, actually, this looks like I'm more than halfway through. 55% maybe? I don't know. According to like my personal reading schedule, I think I'm supposed to be finishing this today, but obviously that's not going to happen. I might be able to finish it tomorrow if I really try to set aside time to read today, which hopefully I will. Well, this was off to a really good start. I don't know, I'm starting to lose my interest in it. I still think that the world is really interesting and the way the magic works is really interesting, but it's also not very well explained, so I find myself confused a lot, or they'll introduce a magical object that can do something that I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that was possible. So it's almost like there's not enough rules to the magic, or at least they haven't been explained to us, to where it seems like the magic can do almost anything, which is just not as fun to read about. On top of that, there are a couple of like writing related things that have been bugging me. This is set in the 1900s, or in 1889. So almost 1900. And sometimes the way the characters talk or the words that they use seem very modern. Like the word encrypted has come up a few times, and I just don't know if in 1889 that word existed or if it was used in the same way. I don't know. So sometimes those things pull me out of the story a little bit. I have more thoughts about this, but I'm going to keep reading and just update you when I'm done with it because I want some more time to think about it. But basically this is still sitting between a 3 and a 4 where it was when I ended my last vlog, but at that time it was kind of leaning closer to 4 than 3, and now it's kind of leaning closer to 3. So I don't know, a lot of interesting thoughts in this, but it hasn't quite been executed in a way that I love. And then the other book that I'm currently reading is Gideon the Ninth, and I'm doing this one on audiobook. That one is on ebook and a little bit physically. I am about this far in, it's about 25% I think, which is I think where I was when I ended the last vlog. I might have listened to like one more chapter of this, and I'm really enjoying this. I'm super intrigued by what is going on. Something really interesting just happened, which makes sense for around the 25% mark, and I'm really excited to see where this is gonna go. So not a whole lot of reading updates. Hopefully by the next time I check in, I have finished something and I can give you some more complete thoughts. Over the last few days, this coronavirus stuff has gotten a lot more serious than it was before, so maybe that means I'll have more reading time coming up. I'm not sure. I mostly am a bit of a hermit anyways, so I'm not sure how much my life is really going to change, but I know that I've had to change a few of my travel plans for things coming up, which I'm really sad about. But keeping everybody safe and healthy is obviously way more important. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a good reading week. Maybe you have some time off of work to be able to fit more reading in. But regardless, I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy, and I will check in with you soon. Bye. Hey guys, so today is Saturday the 21st, It's been a full week since I filmed my last vlog clip, which is a little longer than I would like to go. I'm trying to go for like 4 to 5 days between updates, but this week has just been really hard for a lot of reasons. So the virus stuff going on is obviously very difficult. Things have dramatically gotten more serious over this last week, so obviously that was really something distracting and made it hard for me to sit down and talk to the camera because I don't want to act like everything is normal, because it's definitely not normal. I am very lucky that I already work from home, and so my day-to-day hasn't been too impacted by some of these changes, or, you know, having to stay inside and stuff. But on top of that stuff going on and being very stressful, I actually had a death in my family last week. I'm gonna try really hard not to cry while I tell you about this because I have been really emotional, but my uncle passed away and his funeral was actually today, and I obviously, I couldn't go. I really wanted to be there. I was really grateful that they did a live stream of the funeral, like the people talking and stuff, but it was very hard for me to watch. It's just really hard to see my cousins and my aunt be in pain and grieving. Obviously, like, everyone in my family's grieving, and like we can't be together right now. So that's been tough, and another reason why I haven't been feeling like filming. And also, those are the two reasons why I haven't been reading very much. I have been trying to like sit down and read every night, but honestly, I keep getting distracted by my phone, and obviously when everyone's mental health is not in the greatest place, reading can sometimes be an escape, but sometimes it can be really hard to focus, and that's been something that I've been struggling with over the last week. But in my last clip, I was talking about The Gilded Wolves and how I had like 40%, I think, left of it. And I think I said in my clip that like I'm supposed to finish this today, but that's obviously not going to happen. But I actually think that I finished this either that day or the day after. I just like buckled down and did a lot of reading, and in the end I decided on a 3-star rating for this. It was tough. There are a lot of things in here that I think are really cool. I definitely don't think that it deserves as much like negativity as what I feel like I've seen for this book. Obviously, it has people that like it if it made it into the BookTube SFF shortlist. But I guess like going into it, I was kind of expecting it to be worse than it was based on what I had heard. But there are definitely a lot of things to enjoy in this book. Like I've mentioned, I thought that the setting, with it being during the 1889 World's Fair in Paris, to be really interesting. I like the way that they incorporate the magic. The magic has a very sci-fi feel to it because they're able to use their magic to create magical objects, but magical objects that do things like surveillance or things that we would consider to be technology, but they're doing it with magic, which I think is really cool. But other than that, there wasn't too much more that I really enjoyed. This is a heist story, but I don't know, I felt like a lot of the times, and if you've read this, tell me if this makes sense to you, I felt like I was being told elements of the heist that I didn't need to know, and not being told things that I did need to know, or I just felt like there were things happening off page that I wanted to be present for, and then things that were happening on page that like I didn't really care about. So I felt like there were things that were like flip-flopped the way the story was told. So that was kind of a weird feeling. Also, I think I mentioned in my last clip that some of the characters and some of the things that they said just seemed very modern and out of place, and that happened multiple times in the story that really pulled me out. And I didn't love any of the characters. They were interesting, but I don't know, I didn't really connect with any of them. There was a lot of diversity in this book. That's something that I should have mentioned earlier as something that I enjoyed. There are characters from multiple different ethnicities, and a little bit about like colonialism during this time, which actually, when I saw Roshni Chokshi talk a couple weeks ago at the North Texas Teen Book Festival, she mentioned that. She also mentioned that this is like sort of inspired by the movie National Treasure, and I definitely got that vibe. When people talk about this being a heist, it is, but it's also kind of like a heist in the sense of like Indiana Jones or National Treasure. Like you're going after historical elements, or like historical artifacts, I guess is the more correct term. But I think that if you're looking for something like that, something like Indiana Jones or national treasure that has like a fantasy element to it and a historical element to it, that this would be a really interesting read for you. It also definitely has the same kind of humor that I think those movies have, and not to be offensive to anybody, but you know, I feel like those movies are kind of cheesy, like the kind of humor in them is a little cheesy, and that's the kind of humor that I found to be in this book. Hopefully that doesn't upset anybody, but I thought it was a little cheesy, but in a way that a lot of people like, I think. Anyways, it was disappointing giving it 3 stars because some of the things were really promising and I wanted to be able to give it a 4 stars, but by the end of the book, I just wasn't really enjoying it, and I wish I had liked it more. Other than that, I have made progress on Gideon the Ninth. I don't remember how far I was before. I think I was only a quarter of the way through-ish, so I'm now more than halfway. I've read this much, although I think I need to reread a little chunk from last night because I was kind of falling asleep while I was reading. I need to refresh myself. I am really enjoying this. I think not, I'm trying to not make it glare. Not as much as I thought I would. Like, okay, when I'm reading it, I'm engaged, I'm enjoying it, I'm intrigued, but like I'm also kind of confused a lot. So there are a lot of characters in this book and they have multiple names, and so just trying to keep straight who is who and what their relationship with the other characters are has been a struggle for me. Granted, I am doing a lot of audio booking with this, but I also have been relying on it's like a character list in the front. I've been referring to that a lot to try and help, but I'm still kind of confused. But I'm also confused about like the plot. Like, what are we doing? Starting at about the halfway mark, this has kind of turned into a murder mystery, like an isolated, closed circle murder mystery, which is not at all what I expected because I thought it was like a competition, which it still kind of is a competition. Like I said, I'm kind of confused about the plot and how to explain it, and that's been the biggest thing that has impeded me in enjoying this as much as I like could, because like I'm kind of confused a lot. And I don't know if some of that is me. Like I said, reading this week has been really hard and I've been really distracted by the news and stuff. So I don't know how much of it is me and how much of it isn't. I did go and peek at some Goodreads reviews and there were a couple people who mentioned being confused. So like, I kind of think it's not just me, but I don't know. This is still sitting around a 4. Like I said, I'm still enjoying it when I'm reading it. I'm just kind of confused about stuff, but we will see how the last quarter of this book goes. And hopefully this ends up being like a 4-star read. I would really like it to be because I do think it's really unique and really interesting. This is a blend of fantasy and sci-fi. It's like set in space, but definitely feels very fantasy. I'm just a little thrown off by this like murder mystery thing. And I'm still really enjoying the main character, Gideon. She's like super sarcastic and really funny. It's not the kind of humor that I would generally enjoy, but I'm liking it. And then lastly, I have started reading Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first book in, I don't know, the Skyward series. I don't know what the series is called. And I'm reading this one because the sequel, Starsight, is one of the BookTube SFF Awards books that I need to read. So I really need to get on with reading this. I am about this far, a little over 100 pages in. I'm supposed to be like halfway through the book according to like my own reading schedule. But so far, I am interested and having fun with it. Spensa is kind of like annoying, but that leaves a lot of room for growth, and I think that's kind of what Sanderson is trying to do here. And the first 100 pages has been fun, other than thinking Spensa is kind of annoying. I do think that Spensa reads really young. Like, I feel like this should be on the lower end of YA, or between YA and middle grade. Like, it feels, parts of it feel very middle grade to me. But apparently Spensa is supposed to be 17 in this book, which really surprised me because she does not act like she was 17 at all. So anyways, I guess the last thing I should mention, I meant to say this earlier in the clip, I've been talking for way too long, but I'm actually in the middle of participating in a readathon. So one of my favorite readathons, the 24 and 48 readathon, which is basically where you try to read 24 hours or just as much as you can within a 48-hour period, like a weekend. So this started at midnight last night. I decided to participate to try and keep my mind off of things, and because I'm kind of behind. I should, according to my reading schedule, be done with this book and, like I said, halfway through Skyward, but I'm obviously not either of those things. So I want to use this weekend to try and catch up. I am not shooting for 24 hours. I've only shot for 24 hours a couple of times, and I think the closest I made it was like 16. Like, reading for 24 hours in a weekend is very hard. I thought about shooting for 16, but at this point I've read like maybe an hour's worth. I've read for 45 minutes today. So obviously I'm not doing great on that, but I had to pay some bills this morning. I am filming now. I also had to watch my uncle's funeral earlier. So I plan to get a lot more reading done between now and the end of Sunday. But I'm just going to try and read as much as I can. Like, I'm not setting an hour goal because I'm just trying to be kind to myself and just do what I can. I think my only rule I'm going to have for myself is no video games because they're distracting. Right now, everybody is playing Animal Crossing. I've never played Animal Crossing, but I feel like BookTube as a whole is like playing it together, and I'm a little jealous, but I'm gonna try to avoid buying it. Oh, and I didn't mention that I actually beat Ori between my last clip and this one, so that was a lot of fun, and I actually the other day decided to start a new playthrough of Horizon Zero Dawn. One of the bookstagrammers I follow, Delaney, I'll link her bookstagram down below. She's the one who actually introduced me to Ori. I saw her playing it and I was like, that sounds like fun. So I got it, got obsessed. But she recently played a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn, and that gave me the itch to also play that game. I have played like 95% of that game, but it was over 3 years ago at this point, and so I decided to start over and play from the beginning. But I only played for like an hour, and my goal this weekend is to try not to play at all because I want to read instead. Anyways, I hope you guys are having, I don't know, it feels weird to say having a good week. Obviously nobody's having a good week. The world is in a very different place right now, and all I can say is take care of yourself and read if you can, but also if you can't read right now, that's okay. Just watch some TV. I guess I'm acting like this is the end of the vlog, and it's not, because I'm gonna have to check in with you guys again next week. I will let you know how this readathon goes. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Hey bookworms! So today is Thursday the 26th, March 26th, and it's time to close out this vlog. I'm gonna try and keep this clip really short because I talked way too long in my last clip. I just rewatched, hey, rude. I just rewatched what I said in my last clip to remind myself, because honestly, this last week has been a total blur. I couldn't even remember the things that I said. So, since my last clip, I have finished Gideon the Ninth, and I ended up giving it a 4-star rating. I said a lot of things in my last clip of things that were frustrating to me and problems that I had with this book, and while there are a lot of them, overall, they were fairly like minor as far as how much they affected my experience. So in the end, I decided on a 4-star rating because I enjoyed my reading experience overall, but there were a lot of things that I had issues with, and nothing in the last quarter really changed. I do think that the ending of the book was exciting and like there was reveals and stuff and it was fun, but that doesn't negate all of the other issues that I was having with it. Primarily just that I was confused so much of the time. I'm a little on the fence on whether or not I want to read the sequel, but honestly I'm leaning towards reading it because I'm very interested in where things are going to go after this. I do think this might be like on the lower end of a 4, like maybe a 3.5, like high 3 that I rounded up to 4. When I'm trying to make rounding decisions, I often, when I'm trying to decide between a 3 and a 4, something that I always ask myself is this a book that I'm glad that I read? Or is it like I couldn't care less if I had picked it up? Like it didn't really impact me overall. And I would say that I'm glad that I read this. It is different. It's so different, very cool, interesting. This is a debut novel, and I feel like her writing is just going to get better and better, and so I'm definitely interested in reading more things from her. But there were definitely a few things that bothered me throughout the whole book. So those are my thoughts on Gideon the Ninth. I am also still reading Skyward. I don't think this bookmark is in the right place. Okay, so I am about 30% through this. This first bookmark is how much I've read. The second bookmark, this one, is like where I quote unquote should be according to my reading schedule. So I'm behind compared to where I should be, but oh well. My thoughts really haven't changed too much since my last check-in for this one. I'm enjoying myself. I think Spensa is going to do a lot of growing in this book, but I'm finding the world and the plot interesting. I like the characters. We just met an AI character named Mbot, and I'm so in love with this character. I just love AI characters, and I'm really excited that there is one in this book. But yeah, so far, really enjoying this. Sitting at a solid 4-star for now with the ability to go up. Or down, of course. I have also started 2 new books since my last update. First, I started reading The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is another YA shortlist nominee for the BookTube SFF Awards, and I started reading this one after I finished Gideon the Ninth because that was my audiobook, and the audiobook for this one was available. So I started reading this a couple days ago. I'm only 14% of the way through it. I've read like this much of it, and so far so good. Obviously very early in the book, but I'm finding the characters and the world interesting and the plot interesting, and I honestly have no complaints so far, so I'm really excited about this one. I'm also nervous. I've mentioned before that enemies to lovers is not really my thing, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna buy into it. I still am not sure of that, but I do really like the main character, Jude, and I've only just barely been introduced to Cardin, so we'll see how that goes. Then I was looking at my reading schedule and things that I had planned, and I realized that I really needed to start another book. This is an advanced reader copy that I received from BookNet Fest a while ago, or last fall, but it's the second book in the, oh shoot, what is it called? Something Dark and Holy series. The first one is Wicked Saints. I do have a review for that book on my channel, like a standalone review, because I got an e-arc of that last year. But this book is coming out on April 7th, and I want to put up a review of it, like on release day, but that means I need to start reading it ASAP. I didn't realize how long it was. It's very long. To read it in 14 days, which is like usually my goal, I have to read like 45 pages a day, which is a little on the high side for me, at least when I'm like also reading other books. So I don't know if it's a good idea for me to be reading 3 books at once right now, considering I've had trouble focusing on reading, and it just means that I'm gonna read more slowly overall. So I read one section of this last night. It's taking me a little while to like reorient myself with the characters and what was going on, but I think that the author has done a decent job at like helping me to remember things, and so far so good. Not a whole lot of complaints yet. So obviously I'm very early into 2 of these books, but those are my thoughts so far on the things that I'm reading. Oh, I forgot to talk about the readathon. So over the weekend for the readathon, I did not do well. I tried to read, but it wasn't happening. I ended up clocking in at about 6 hours of reading over the weekend, which isn't bad, but I was hoping to read closer to like 8 hours. But like I said in my last clip, the only rule I really decided for myself was no video games, and I was successful in that. I didn't play any video games all weekend, but I still only read for 6 hours. Don't ask me what else I was doing. I don't know. Oh, I was also gonna say that I had planned, like in my personal video schedule plan, to do a Goodreads live stream yesterday, but that didn't happen. I wasn't in the mood, and I don't think I'm going to be in the mood the rest of the month, so I have decided to skip my Goodreads live stream for April. I'm sure that's something that like none of you guys really care about, but just in case you're one of the few people who watches those live streams, I wanted to let you know it's not going to happen this month, but I fully anticipate and plan to do one next month. I'm really hoping I'll be in a little bit better of a mental health space by then. Alright guys, that is all I have for this vlog. Let me know down in the comment section what you guys have been reading or how you guys are doing with the state of the world. I hope you're hanging in there, and I know this is a really tough time for a lot of us, but I'm hopeful that things will go back to normal, not soon, but I'm hopeful that they will at some point, or that our society learns to adapt to this new normal. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm hopeful that things will turn up soon, is what I'm trying to say. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. That is all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bookworms, keep reading. Bye.